Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Wait, you want me to say something? Look, I'll
I,
say
I,
something. Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier.
I'm not gonna even try to do a Jacksepticeye impression. I
Top of
cannot.
the morning. You gotta fucking scream.
You
gotta
got. You just
fucking
hold up. Let me
scream.
turn down the mic. Top of the morning to you, laddies. My name is Jacksepticeye. How was that?
That's yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. We should probably start. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So hi everybody. We're back. I don't know if this is gonna be a normal thing, but it's a lot of fun, and we just wanted to talk about WandaVision and that finale. It was quite the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hello.
I guess Ninethie. Hi. What are your general thoughts about the WandaVision finale? We'll get into the details, but overall, what's your kind of big takeaway?
So without spoiling anything, I thought WandaVision finale. So like my initial thoughts are different to what my thoughts are now because I thought about it. Like I said, and I thought about it. It was okay.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't anything special, and I think that's probably why people are disappointed. Like the director even tweeted out saying some people will be disappointed, and I feel like if you have to tweet that out, that's a problem. Um,
Yeah.
by all means, the finale was a good episode, but it suffers from the Infinity War Endgame situation for me, where the previous episode, the previous installment, is like a 9 or a 10 out of 10, and then this one just isn't. Multiple reasons. Um, I feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions. There's a lot more questions asked rather than answers given, and I just felt it could have been better. It was okay. It was a good way to end it. The best way I think they probably could have ended it with the direction they were aiming for.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel too. Really, it wasn't anything crazy. I mean, without spoilers, it was a somewhat satisfying ending, I guess, to WandaVision. It wasn't bad. It was very emotional, and I thought it was fine. Nothing wrong,
Yeah.
nothing crazy though. But I do like what you were talking about, how it suffers from the post Endgame situation, which I feel like a lot of Marvel movies and shows are kind of going through right now. Which I guess we'll get more into that into spoilers later. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think that it's going to be something they're going to have to work on going forward. It's like, how are you going to one up Endgame? Because that's a lot.
Yes, I feel like that. So like, well, obviously we'll have a spoiler section. So a
Yeah.
non-spoiler section. Um, objectively speaking, when I watch a show, and I've watched a lot of because like as an actor, as a creator, director, and a writer, aspirant, I should say. I'm not any of those things. I'm an aspiring.
Nah, you're an amazing
List.
actor, director, and writer.
Oh, I'll take that. I study shows, and one such show I study is Black Sails. In my opinion, Black Sails is like one of the go-to shows if you want to study how to do certain things.
I still need to
And
watch that. I've
it's
heard good
so
things.
good, and it's like I would, even though I know how it ends, I would happily rewatch Black Sails every year. I
Oh
happily
wow.
rewatch Lord of the Rings every year. I would not ever rewatch WandaVision, and that I don't know what it is. It doesn't feel like a conclusive, compressed story. It feels like a anime filler arc, like the Fullbring arc in Bleach. Right? It feels
Yeah.
like it's not its own entity. It is. It is. Its story is contained quite literally in Wanda's hex, by all
Mm-hmm.
means. But it also feels like if you were to look at it as part of the MCU, which it is, it's nothing more than like a week spread off across 6 weeks. And I feel like I fucking wasted my time at points waiting for the next episode. Um,
Yeah.
and I've yeah.
A part of me wonders, like, if they compressed all, what is that, 9 of those episodes into just one continuous, would it be like 2.5, 3 hour long movie, it would not be satisfying at all.
No.
And part of me, that it worries me a little bit with the MCU TV shows on Disney Plus going forward, because some of them, like I think Falcon and Winter Soldier is next. You have that kind of in the same like street level of iconic movies like The Winter Soldier and Civil War even. Oh yeah, no, I still think to this day Captain America Winter Soldier is probably the best MCU movie.
I feel like a lot of people, like this is gonna sound like harsh. I mean, from an objective standpoint, a lot of people would say that. Me personally, my favorite film is Iron Man, and then my second close one is Thor Ragnarok. Even though Thor Ragnarok suffers heavily from this thing called bathos, which is where something builds climactically and then ends in a punchline. But Takata Wakiti, I probably butchered his name. There we go, thank you. Has learnt from that. He doesn't use bathos anywhere near as much as he did in that film. So I'm super looking forward to Love and Thunder.
Oh yeah,
he's a very good character. But I feel like from an objective standpoint, Winter Soldier is probably the best made Marvel film.
Yeah, and I think it really comes down to rewatchability. I think I've seen that one like 20 times at least compared to some of the other ones. But yeah, I'm just, if you compressed all of that into one film, it wouldn't really go anywhere. Like the story would just be kind of like, I don't know. It just kind of, this thing happened. You really didn't need any of that there to begin with. That whole thing could have really been told or even written in a way where it could be summed up in like one scene, and then I don't know, Doctor Strange too. But yeah, I guess we could.
There are.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
No, you go.
I was gonna say there were a lot of times in this episode where I was like, so like, there's like a scene where Wanda, semi spoilers, but it's not an important scene. And this is part of the fucking problem. Is Wanda does her thing where she disappears and she comes up behind the antagonist like she did in Age of Ultron. She does that weird witchy thing.
Yeah.
That whole scene with the villain and like the corpses getting back up was completely pointless. There was, unless there's some like, it's a very, very loose string and it ties into a film at some point. We did not need that scene. It was, and there was a lot of that in this episode. Like a lot of, I really didn't need to see that. I didn't care about that at all. That has not changed anything for me.
Yeah, I think that's a great segue that we can go ahead and jump into spoilers with. So if you're watching this and you have not seen the finale yet, or any of WandaVision, first, if you haven't seen WandaVision at all, what are you doing here? If you have not seen the finale, then this would be a great place to click off, go watch that, and come back. Or if you don't get me wrong,
I do recommend WandaVision. I think you do need to watch it at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Because it does tie into the MCU.
Especially if you're an MCU fan, you do kind of have to watch it. But yeah, we'll go ahead and jump into spoilers now. All right,
okay.
We're here.
Hello. Welcome to the spoiler section.
So she's a witch now.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I don't mind that.
I think we should do like an episode synopsis.
Mm-hmm.
So the way it goes is we've learned that in the past episodes, WandaVision is this TV show and it's created by Wanda, and we learned that it was created by her in a way she didn't understand or realize what she was doing. It was an emotional outburst, and now Agnes. Or Agatha Harkness yeah, I'm a witch, has got her children on a leash. And then fucking Wanda's like, all right, let's square up. So we have this this quick, brief witch on witch fight, which is very cool to see. By the way, Marvel, since we've added magic to the MCU, can we get Mandarin, please?
They are. They're gonna... The Shang-Chi...
I know. Yeah, I know, but Iron Man 3 hurt me, dude. It fucking hurt me.
What, you don't want to see
Fucking...
Ben what's his name? Ben
Oh,
not
Kingsley, is
Stiller.
it?
Kingsley,
Ben
yeah.
Kingsley? Yeah,
I don't know his
yeah,
things.
no, I do, absolutely. But, so yeah, we have this magic witch fight, and then White Vision comes out of nowhere, and she's like, "Yo, Vision," and like why doesn't she go? Why are you so fucking white? Like my guy has no color to him. He's like default white. It's like
Yeah.
someone like paint white onto him, and she doesn't question it. She's just like Vision, as if she knows it's Vision's body. Which fine, whatever. And he's like Wanda. So there's like a hint of emotionalness, like or emotion behind Vision. And he like puts his hands on her face, and he's like Wanda, and
Oh,
and
yeah.
then he starts trying to fucking crush her head, and I'm like, well, why is he like he's a robot? Why is he like faking emotion here? Whatever. So then normal Vision comes out of nowhere, and he's like bitch slapping, and we have our Vision on Vision fight, which was really fucking cool to
That
see.
was cool. It was like I
That
saw
was cool.
someone describe it as Superman, but the Superman fight from Man of Steel, except he can phase through stuff, and I think that
Yeah,
describes
I
it
love that. Like,
perfectly.
you see like Visions phasing through each other. We don't see enough of that fight, but
We don't.
we keep
No.
going back to Agatha and Wanda, and they're having like this like Agatha's like, "You're a fucking witch," and Wanda's like, "No, I'm
No, I'm
not," and then
not.
Agatha's like, "No, I'll just pull out this fucking ominous book that you guys might have seen in Doctor Strange if you were paying attention," and it says here you're a witch. It's like, all right, she's a witch. And then fucking she like unties the strings on the people Wanda's got present, and they're like, "Yo, Wanda, I've got like a daughter. Could she like be friends with your sons? Just let me hold her, please." And so then
Right.
Wanda's like, "Oh my," she's having a mental breakdown. She can't control it. So then she like fucking strangles people. As if to be symbolic that she's got these guys tied up, and then she's like, "Oh shit, I'm being bad. Go away." She like opens up the hex and lets people out. Now, this is I kind of have issue with this. It's like so fucking stereotypical. It's like because of this, like Vision's losing his fight against White Vision because he exists in the hex. So then White Vision's like, and then fucking Vision lands next to her, and he's like, "Wanda, I'm fucking like depixelating, help!" And then the children come out of nowhere, and they're like, "Mom, I'm depixelating now." Like, how fucking convenient was that? That all three of them just happened to be next to Wanda in this fucking giant space. I'm like, okay, whatever. So then she like closes the hex again, and fucking Agatha's doing a little witch cackle, and she's like, "You tied them to the hex." It's like, well done, genius. So then.
Right.
The fucking sword people come in because there was the opening, and we get generic cartoon baddie, and he's there like, "Everyone open fire on these fucking children."
Oh my god.
So then
Hayward
Wanda's
is
kid,
just a yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
we'll talk
We'll
about
get
it.
to
We'll talk
him.
about it in a minute. So Wanda's kids disarm the sword operatives, and then fucking Hayward kicks down the door. And up until this point, I've been like, the writing for this guy is fucking awful. Like we'll talk about the theories later. There was a theory with this guy. The theory's not applicable, so the writing for him is fucking awful. There's
Yeah.
no excuse for the writing at this point. And he comes out, and up until this point, he's been like, "I've been doing this for the greater good." He pulls out a fucking pistol and tries to shoot children. Like, what? Why is he doing that? There's no fucking reason. So he like glocks Wanda's children, and then fucking the fucking movie, the show's producers remember that fucking Rambo's a character, so she jumps away at the bullets and saves the
What?
children.
Where did
even though
that
they didn't
come
need to.
from? Like,
I don't fucking know, dude.
Oh
They were
my
like, "Oh
gosh.
yeah, we have fucking what has Rambo?" Anyway, synopsis. We'll talk about it afterwards.
yeah. Well,
Synopsis.
yeah.
They end up beating Agatha in whatever way possible. And then she's like, "I turn you into Agnes," because what Wanda does is she's like, "You can have my power," because Agatha's like, "I absorb power," but she's missing shots. And what she's actually doing is she's like carving engravings and runes into the hex.
Right.
So
Which
something that we learned.
she
Previous
totally
episode.
learned how to do when she knew nothing about magic. Just to throw that
Yeah,
out
yeah,
there.
yeah. She
Like,
just remembered the symbols, dude. That's just how I be. And that's how they beat Agatha. And Agatha's like, "Ah!" And she's fucking beaten. She's back to being Agnes. She's like, "Okie dokie," which was kind of cool.
that was kind of funny. Whoever
so
they got
the-
to play her was.
Oh yeah, fucking
she
great,
was
fucking great performance. So
great.
then the two visions talk about Theseus's ship, I believe. Is it Theseus? the ship of Theseus.
Yes,
Uh,
that was actually
uh,
kind of
which
cool.
which is the concept of if you have something that's original but it is damaged, when you replace the damage with something new until nothing of the original remains, is the original still the original or is it something new? And both visions come to the conclusion that the rotten wood of the ship and the new ship are both Theseus's ship.
Mm.
And then Vision unlocks the memories in White Vision because he's like, "You've been suppressed." He's super polite about it as well. It's like, "May I?" And he's like, "Yeah, go for it." And then so like this villain they introduce gets fucking summarized in 10 minutes because like Vision unlocks his memories and he goes, "I am Vision," and fucks off. Like White Vision's just gone. He's just like,
Yeah, he just
like,
dips,
what?
and we never see
Then
him.
they realize that the hex has to come down. Wanda's been a bad girl, and the hex has to come down. And they go back to the house and they say goodbye to the children as the red wall of death is coming in. And she says, "Thank you for choosing me as your mother," which I went and read up is a line she says in the original comics because the first generation of her children were spies made by Mephisto, but they end
Right.
up becoming her children. And I'm like, okay, great callback, but fucking pointless line. Just
It
left me a
didn't
bit
really
confused.
make sense.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't needed. So then they have like this Vision and Wanda have this emotional talk about how Vision asks what he is, and she says, "You are my hope, my pain, and my love. You are a part of the Mind Stone that lives on inside of me." And then they kiss, and he says, "Goodbye, my love," and he disappears. And then Wanda kind of walks to Rambo, who's still just standing in the middle of fucking nowhere doing nothing. And she goes, "I'm sorry." She doesn't apologize to anybody else. She just apologizes to Rambo. And then Rambo's like, "They'll never know what you sacrificed to set them free." I'm like, "Well, no, because what she did was fucking villainous." And then she flies off.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's,
and then
if you don't mind, I can
that's
tackle
kind of
the.
it.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
we got the post-credit scenes that happen. The first one we see kind of Sword, with Sword Agency, they're going through and they're kind of taking control damage, helping all the people that Wanda had under her control and whatnot. And somebody comes up to Monica Rambeau's like, "Hey, they need you over in what was it, like a church or a movie theater? Movie theater."
It's a movie theater, yeah.
Yeah, and like they need you over there, and she walks in, and it's like I guess the commander or one of the head officers, somebody.
Yeah.
She's like talking to her. She's like, "Hey, guess what?" And her face changes. She's a Skrull, and
Yeah, she's a Skrull,
she says,
yeah.
"An old friend of your mother's wants to talk to you." Talks about how she's like stranded on Earth because her Rambo's mother's last wish was to not let her go into space anymore. And she's like, "An old friend of your mother's wants to talk to you." And he's like, "Well, where is he?" And she just points up. So I'm guessing we'll see Rambo next in Secret Wars with Nick Fury and Ben Miller, I think, plays the other Skrull. Anyway, then we get another post-credit scene after the last credits, and it shows like an old Sokovian little hut in the middle of nowhere, and we go in and we see Wanda, and she's just kind of isolated from the world, taking a break from social media or whatever, and her teapot's going, and it starts whistling. She goes over to a teapot and pours some tea, and it kind of goes into the back room, and we see her astral form going through the book that Agatha had earlier in the show, and she's just kind of menacingly like looking through it and studying, and she's got like all these hieroglyphs around her, and suddenly you hear Tommy and Billy scream out like, "Mom, help us, come save us," and she just like looks up and is like, oh no, she's gonna help them, I guess. And that's all we get for the post-credit scenes.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It was. I think, should we start off with positives or negatives? I guess.
I feel like there's less positives than there are negatives, so positives first, probably.
Positives first. Okay. I like and this might be controversial, but I like the fact that Wanda's basically the villain of this show. And people can argue that she's not, but like, no, she was straight up a villain. She captured these people. Obviously, like, yeah, she did it because she was sad. It doesn't matter. All these other villains did things because they were sad too. Like, every one of them. Like, if you flip the perspective and you had, just for example, they would never do this, but like, put Hayward as the main character, and like, he was secretly like, I don't know, like Hawkeye or Nick Fury or someone, then and you focused on him instead of like Wanda the whole movie, Wanda would seem like the big villain.
Yeah.
More so than already. But I think that was really cool. I'm hoping that she'll keep kind of that villainous vibe, or at least kind of walk the line as like an anti-hero.
Yeah.
But I kind of enjoyed that. I think she works better as a villain than as a hero.
Yeah, well, Scarlet Witch is just a fucking glass cannon, really, isn't she?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which kind of works.
It does. And this was... I feel weird, because like this was, I guess, Marvel's version of House of M, I guess.
Right, okay, so like, I haven't...
But it had nothing to do with mutants. And they even
the amount of fucking time, the amount of times they teased House of M was ridiculous. Even down to when she like when the kids are like disintegrating, or when she builds the house, the pixel formations look like the front cover that's on House of M, and they look like bits that's in the House of M, and it's like anyway. Positive.
Okay, yeah, positive. No, it was very emotional. The last thing, I think that was nice. Shed a tear. Vision, we get to see him die for the third time.
Yeah.
The kids were cool.
A dick, by the way.
Oh, which one? The one Wanda created?
The one Wanda created. Yeah, he's a dickhead. I hate him.
Why do you say that?
Oh, well, positives, but I'll talk about it afterwards. I'll talk about it afterwards.
Okay. Now I'm okay. Let's see. More positives. This is a positive, I guess, with kind of like through grit teeth. It was nice to see Evan Peters back as Quicksilver.
No, that is not a positive. Fuck that. Fuck that. No. That was dumb, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
It was, but regardless, it was nice to see him.
It was,
I guess,
dumb.
Even if he crushed our hearts. But tying into that,
fucking...
the Halloween episode was kind of cool. I guess just seeing the callback to the old school costumes, that was nice. A little
that was
nod.
But I like this episode. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was gonna say the finale. I really enjoyed obviously the Vision fight, and I guess the backstory that wasn't in the finale. That was the episode before, wasn't it? When they went into Wanda's kind of like origins and stuff. I thought that was really cool to see kind of her past, because they mentioned it but never really explored it. So I thought that was really cool.
It was good to see. Like, you get to see just how much Wanda's lost. She's lost a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And so they do a very good job of trying to humanize her and try to justify what she's doing. I mean, you can't justify what she's doing, but they give it a go.
They try, and I don't know. I kind of feel like that's a negative toward them to try to justify, because like, come on, you just took a bunch of people captive for like what was it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
But I'm trying to think of more positives. Overall, it was a very enjoyable. It was fun.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, they tie into Doctor Strange a lot. They say she's stronger than the Sorcerer Supreme, which I don't buy. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Like, I think right now she probably is stronger than Doctor Strange.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's kind of not hard to do, because Doctor Strange is at the beginning of his journey. Yeah. Which is like, and I want to point this out. Like, Doctor Strange, like, fucking tangles with Thanos, doesn't really injure him, but goes toe to toe with Thanos, who's got the Infinity Gauntlet, and he holds his own for a little bit. And this is Doctor Strange at the beginning of his career. He's only really just started. So I feel like the Sorcerer Supreme, especially in like Multiverse of Madness, is we're gonna see a lot more of Doctor Strange love. A lot more. I
hope so, because like you said, Doctor Strange is like he's OP, in all honesty. And I think we might get to see even like, I think Wanda might be the villain of Doctor Strange too. I know everybody's like, it's going to be Mordo, I think his name. But I think
at least like she's going to be a side villain at the very least.
At the very least, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we can, unless you have any more positives to add, We can jump into
Um,
negative/controversial.
yeah, I've got like a little thing here, like a little script. So I wrote this afterwards, after thinking about it, because I wanted to put thoughts into words. So it's hard,
Oh,
because you sorry,
sorry.
go on.
I do have one more positive. The Jimmy Woo
Yeah,
memes.
yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Please, can we have a Jimmy Woo show? Please,
I just want to see like
please.
the Uncanny Avengers, and it's made up of what's his name, Luis from Ant-Man, Corgan Meek, Jimmy Woo. It's just all these like fan favorites.
Absolutely. Please, can we? Okay, so it's like for the show, it's hard, and the finale, it's hard to put into words because you have to think critically, you have to think logically, but also as a consumer, as a viewer, you have to think emotionally and as a
Yeah,
fan.
and
So
as
as
a
a
fan
critic, the
of
show
X-Men too,
of
like it's
yeah, of
it's
a
soul
fan of all of
crushing.
it, yeah.
Like
So, as a critic, the show delivered on what it said it would deliver. It went out of its way to create this world space where they could create and play with multiple directions as long as the duration of the show allows room for. It has key plot points and it never strays far from what the story is trying to say.
yeah,
As a fan, and emotionally, almost every other theory that came out about certain things, from Ultron to Mephisto as examples, were far better than what we got, and I've been left with the feeling of, oh man, this could have been so much better. So, logically, that's partly on me, as well as it's on those who came up with other theories for thinking of the direction, because we're so excited to see what happens next, what clever twists and what turns await for us in the next weekly episodic adventure. But it's also on the writers. Even though they wrote this like over a year ago, they knew subtle hints would be picked up and Wanda Maximoffed into something else, like fucking turned and twisted. A friend of mine said that this was probably a testing ground, like a little self-contained, on-the-shelf product that people could take things away from, so that Marvel has an idea of where to go and what fans would like to see. And while I understand this idea, and it makes sense both critically and logically, please never fucking do this again, Marvel. Like, you strung the audience along for a minimalistic payoff, and it is minimalistic, objectively, and we didn't really get to see much outside, aside from a few characters it introduced, and Wanda finally becoming and embracing the Scarlet Witch. All of this also makes Hayward the worst, and I mean the worst fucking villain in terms of writing, because the writing for him was outright outlandish, bad, and cartoon villain style. What a wasted opportunity, I thought. Now, hopefully they can turn it around with him, because otherwise it was kind of blah. I mean, he could have been Ultron. He could have been controlled by Ultron. Those two
yes.
theories alone, so much fucking better, would have given him more motivation,
I
would have given him more background, but instead he's just some white old dude going, I hate everyone, and it is my job to be the bad guy. Pulls out a pistol, shoots at fucking kids while claiming to be like doing this for the greater good. And I
right.
just felt, it's just like when he turns on Jimmy Woo and Rambo in the tent, just like instant 180 personality. He's like, get him out of here. They're getting in the way. I'm like, well, obviously he's a bad guy and he's up to something. But now that I look back at it, I'm like, wow, no, he was just fucking dumb. And that was just fucking dumb writing. Why did he stay in the truck all of this time when Darcy comes and hits him with the ice cream van? And he's like, oh shit, this ice cream van is just like fucking hit the side of my car. He just looks at her and he goes, and there's like 10-15 minutes between that point and the end of the show where he's just sitting in the car. Like, it
Yeah.
has a roof hatch, dude. It has two other doors you can get out. It shows he isn't knocked out by it. So why is he just sitting there?
And he should
He's
be
just-
capable, because he's a freaking like leader of Sword right now. So
Yeah,
you should have some training to get out of freaking
I don't
van.
know.
Yeah, they wasted a lot of opportunity with Hayward, and I thought it was obvious that he was going to be Ultron or going to be like controlled by Ultron, because they kept nodding to that and like kind of hinting, oh man, you know, there's probably a big villain coming up, like not even the big cameo, but like just in general, like they mentioned Ultron multiple times earlier in the season. And when they brought in White Vision, I really thought that White Vision was going to be Ultron in Vision's body, but they
Yeah,
just took
that would have been
the normal route,
so much fucking cooler.
which they could still do. I guess
See,
they could later on. Oh my gosh, White Vision is starting to have like inner turmoil or whatnot, and he turns into Ultron, or maybe he takes the memories that fake Vision, also real Vision,
yeah,
gave him, Thaddeus Vision.
yeah.
But there was a lot of wasted opportunity, and that brings me just to the whole sword side story and everything. Jimmy, as much as I love Jimmy Woo, I love him to death. But the whole Jimmy, Darcy, I also love Darcy. She was freaking amazing. Monica Rambeau was fine. But all of that whole side plot, that took up like probably a good half, maybe third of the show. Probably a third. It wasn't needed at all.
No, it went nowhere. Like so this is like part of my issue. So if I were to base the show off, or the final episode and the show off on just the merits of its own, the final episode would be a 7. The episode before it would be a 9, and the show as a whole would be a 7 or 8. It was fine. It was good. It was entertaining.
I would say a good 7, because it was entertaining, like you said. But like there was just
thinking on the amount of times, like I mean, like you can try and say they weren't referencing anything, like Mephisto. Like a signature of Mephisto being present is a fly on the wall, and there's multiple times they show a fly on the wall.
Not even that. Like, just like you see, like there's 666s in the backgrounds everywhere. There's like these little nods to like a satanic creature or Satan himself. Which I still think Mephisto exists in the MCU. Obviously, there's a whole thing where they like, China hates anything, relating to like demonic or even the devil in general, and that's a huge market for Marvel, so they really don't want to like over there. But I feel like Mephisto's probably going to appear in Doctor Strange 2 in some way, shape, or form, because him and Doctor Strange go at it in the comics a lot too. If they don't, then they're just missing a huge opportunity, because they kept nodding to him so much, unless they're literally just trying to F with us, which they're known to do.
I feel like they played the show far too safe for me. Far too safe. There were so
not
many
even
times...
safe. For me, it was less of like they didn't play it safe. They were like, "Hey, here's some stuff we know you guys want. You see it, you like it, you wanted Quicksilver, but X-Men won. Ha, we're gonna take it back. It was just Ralph Boner. Get it? It's a boner joke. No, you don't get that. It was like, why would you even introduce these things in the first place? If you wanted to like do something, just focus on the writing. Give the sword characters and their whole thing some actual depth and meaning, and then like focus on the writing process and just making the show, like, if you're gonna play it safe, just make it good. Don't try to like take fake risks, I guess, and just say, "Oh, you like this?" No, it was a joke the whole time. Silly you. It's like, you can't do that.
Yeah, I didn't. So like this is like my beef with the show is like the show is super simple when you look at it. It doesn't try to be as clever as it could be. The biggest twist of the show is that Agnes is Agatha. That's like the biggest twist.
Which
and I'm like,
everybody saw coming from episode 1. Let's be honest.
And it's like I mean, yeah, cool. You've announced magic is definitely a thing in the MCU. You've announced there's other witches, and that's Scarlet Witch, or Wanda becomes Scarlet Witch. She's got her hands on the Black Book, the Book of the Damned, and that's really cool. But like, I can't help but go, man, if Hayward was Vision, that would have been fucking cool. Not Vision, sorry. Hayward was Ultron. That would have been fucking cool.
Yeah.
Wasn't
James Spader in the cast list too?
I couldn't tell you, but like there would have been like so many clever like plot points if Agnes was working with Ultron. So then when she frees the people, White Vision lands and he goes, "There are no strings on me." A nice little callback. Like the fuck with Wanda so and stuff. There was like Mephisto fucking House of M, fucking X-Men,
Oh
the
yeah.
the multiverse ends up being like we've
I
said, a
feel
boner joke. There's so much in this show that could have been so much fucking better. There's you can't go, oh yeah, but that's just because you wanted it to be. Yeah, that's
well,
on
that's the
me.
point.
That's on me. My
You
theory.
wanted
But
me
when
to
the
want
theory
this.
yeah, exactly. Like when the theories are born from the writing, and the writing doesn't go anywhere with them, and the theories are better. You get a Jon Snow Game of Thrones effect. Is
Mhm.
like the way George R. Martin said is like, if you spent 3 books telling me that it's the waiter with the candlestick in the library that did it, and someone on the internet figures it out, I can't then go, it's the mistress with the butcher's knife in the kitchen. I can't do that, because then when you subvert expectations like that, like they do in Game of Thrones, you ruin it. And they don't do that with this, but they come very close to doing, like, oh, fly on the wall. Hayward acting weird. Ultron. Oh, fucking X-Men. Quicksilver. None of it comes true, and
Yeah.
it's like, so these are just nods for no reason.
And I feel like at this point, the MCU in general is just messing with us when it comes to the multiverse, because we saw it first mentioned in Spider-Man: Far From Home with oh gosh, I not Magneto, not Mephisto, Mysterio. I blanked on his
Mysterio.
name.
Yeah.
So many M's. He kind
House
of
of M, dude. House of M.
House of M. It's just no, but he mentioned it, and obviously he was like, "I'm from another world. There's a multiverse," and it was like, "Oh no," he was obviously just lying. But like they kind of teased it there, and now they're teasing it here. And the next time, like it looks like it's going to be teased or even mentioned, is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Did Spider-Man come out before that? Because there's been like everybody's kind of
Yeah,
figured
I
out it's
don't.
basically going to be live action Spider-Verse. But
Yeah.
either way, like they got at some point they have got to stop playing with people and be like, okay, but for real, it does exist,
Yeah,
or else
like,
it's like a boy that
so
cried wolf situation. It's like,
it's like the MCU for like 10 years built upon loose ends for a while, but it
yeah,
was in a movie format. Like, when I watch Iron Man 1, or when I watch Winter Soldier, I'm never going, oh man, this could have been better. I can rewatch them over and over again, because
hmm,
almost every single film in the MCU is intrinsic to the big plan. Like, they all
right.
tie in some way, they all build on a character or something like
And
that.
they
Whereas
usually only
with
have one or two loose ends, not 50.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like fucking Civil War has so many fucking plot points, but whatever.
Oh
Um,
yeah, well, Endgame. If you want to talk
yeah,
about plot holes,
dude, I'm gonna be real with you. Did not like Endgame, and I will always argue why. If anybody
yeah,
like comes to me and is like, oh, you just didn't understand it, or you didn't like it
no,
because Iron Man died, I'm like, do you know?
I
Yeah, I
love the
don't
fact
like
that
that
Iron
Iron
Man
Man
died.
died.
No, I love
I
that.
fucking I hate it. Do you know why I hate it? Because like it makes, in a writing sense, it makes sense. The character comes full circle. I
Right.
hate it because if you look behind Thanos, the Avengers are winning. There is literally no fucking reason for Tony Stark to snap his fingers. And when people go, yeah, but he's got the gems on him, so he's gonna die. I'm like, he has half of his suit remaining. All he has to do is put it all into a gauntlet and shoot them off into space. The Avengers won that fight. Like, all
Yeah,
he has to do is jettison the fucking gauntlet, and he won't die, because then he hasn't touched them. But no, he snaps it because we need to go full circle. Like, Tony Stark did not need to die in that film, and yo. That aside,
that's a
go-
whole different. Yeah, no.
going
Overall,
going back
Endgame
to
visually is
WandaVision.
amazing.
Oh yeah, Endgame's fucking
Logically, it
fantastic.
doesn't really
But
make a
yeah,
lot of sense, but
but that's the thing with WandaVision, is it's the exact same issue. Like, visually, it's incredible,
I
but
don't
like
know. The
logically, I'm like,
whole CGI fight between Wanda and Agatha was just kind of, I don't know. We've seen it.
yeah,
We've seen it in Doctor Strange and Avengers 2 and God, Captain Marvel, and we get it. They weren't really
yeah.
creative with it, I guess. They're witches.
I
Like
think
you can do something with that. But they
I
were
think it
just
was
like,
as good as it
nah, generic power
could
blast.
be. Yeah.
Blech. It's like, oh,
There is some bad fucking moments of CGI towards the end when they when they transform back into their normal clothes as they're walking through the door, um, the door and the house and them are three different layers. And
Oh
whoever
no.
matched them up, you did a very bad job because the fucking door starts moving and they start moving off frame, off kilter, and it looks so disjointed, dude. I was like, that's fucking bad editing right there. Come on.
Oh man.
Like, if you can't care, I can't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but you know that.
And the thing
The,
was at the end too, everything kind of reset. And they show
yeah,
that symbolically too, where she's just standing right where she was. And it's like, okay.
yeah, it comes full circle.
So
Yeah,
I get it, it's poetic, but like I don't know, did this really need to happen? Or could that whole series kinda have been summed up in the last 2 episodes?
yeah. I see. This is the thing, right? It's like I watched Angry Joe's review on it, and he talked about how
Oh god.
the final episode could have done with a two-parter, and
Yeah.
I would agree with that absolutely. If you want to make it a show, to give more into the Vision on Vision fight, to give more, because it's compressed into about 40 minutes, and it's kind of rushed in some places. But I really think, looking back on it, this did not need to be a show. It needed to be like a 2-3 hour long feature length episode,
Yeah, like a mini
just an
series.
episode. Just like a OVA, I guess.
Or just a really long
But
movie.
yeah, just maybe, yeah, maybe. But it's like there are so many parts of each episode, looking back, that mean nothing, that do not add to it, that you could just take out. And it's like, that's the same with every other single show. It's filler content.
Yeah.
But in the regards of what they were doing with this, now that I know what they were doing with this, it makes it fucking pointless, and it kind of angers me, because it's like, this serves as nothing more than a tie-in and a build-up to Doctor Strange, and we did not need half the shit we saw in this show.
It feels
And
like
it's
an
just,
appetizer. It doesn't feel like an
yeah,
actual MCU production. It feels more like a Agents of Shield or like a little what were those little like the side movies they not side movies, but like the little shorts they did with like, you know, Thor getting a roommate or something. It felt very like
yeah.
on the side, kind of an afterthought. Hey, you can work on this project. Just make sure it fits in with what we're doing eventually. Eh,
It's not like Mandalorian, where like Mandalorian is its own story set in a
yeah.
universe, and it works really well. And if anybody ever talks about Mandalorian in a negative light,
Hey,
I'll hunt you down.
Mandalorian
Um,
sucks.
Dude, well,
No, I'm
this
kidding.
show's over because
I
God's gonna die.
No, I
But
love the
like,
Mandalorian.
yeah, I don't know, dude. I keep rolling over it in my head, and I keep going, I did not need to see half the episodes in there.
Yeah.
And it's it's hard. It's really hard, because logically and critically, I understand that this had to happen.
Hmm.
As a fan, and also critically, I'm like, fuck, that just I'm left with a meh
Because like
feeling. I'm
going into it, you wanted to like it so bad, and you were like,
yeah.
you were ready, you were hyped, and then it finishes up, and you're just kind of like, oh, that
Yeah,
was
you're just like,
that was cool, I
fine.
guess.
Yeah,
Uh,
it is. It is exactly. Do you know what it's like? It's like when you play a game, right?
mhm.
Let's go with Assassin's Creed, and you're like, "This
Ooh.
is really cool. I'm really enjoying the main story. I'm enjoying the Captain America and Iron Man and Thor beef of this fucking game." And then a DLC comes out, and then you're like, "Oh, okay, I'll play the DLC." And the DLC has like almost nothing to fucking do with the main story. It's on like a little island, and like
Yeah.
you pick fucking apples off trees as the main quest, and then at the end it gives a wink, like one of the cameras turns and like characters turns and winks at the camera like, yeah, and it's like, oh, that's the tie-in. It feels like that. It's like, oh,
It really does.
okay. You literally could have just shown the end scene where Wanda's doing the like fucking Doctor Strange reference, where she's doing what Doctor Strange did,
Hmm.
just as a fucking trailer. Just like a minute long trailer on TV, and it would have probably had the same effect.
Yeah. And yeah. I'm just,
And
I don't know.
that's
And I
I
know,
don't I
like,
don't want anyone.
oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Ron.
Oh, I was gonna say that, like, like, I know, like, it's hard to one up anything after Endgame, but like at the same time, like you just, I don't know, you're left with this feeling of like when you bite into a hamburger, right?
Right.
And you get into it and you finally start chewing and then you suddenly realize it was a tofu burger and you're just kind of like, oh, well, I mean, it tastes good, but it's not really what I wanted.
Yeah, I guess I'm here now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's like kind of empty. It's hollow.
I mean, like, I don't want anyone to think we're shitting on the show.
It's a great show.
Great.
Like,
it's great. Yeah, it's really fucking good. I really enjoyed watching it. I did. That's the truth. I really enjoyed WandaVision. I just wouldn't watch it again, knowing what happens at the end.
I wonder if somebody who hadn't seen it, I bet they would probably enjoy it more if they binged it rather than waiting every week.
You mentioned this before. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably part of the problem is like you had to wait so long for minimalistic rewards. And that's how I see it. The show is very minimalistically rewarding. It has its own story, it has its own bubble, it concludes its own story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of the problem comes from the fact that this was sold and advertised as being a very important moment for the MCU. And it's a very important Wanda story. It is. But constantly looking for tie-ins to the MCU, and it just doesn't deliver on it, which is fine because it's its own story, and you're just left there going, "Oh man,
I think
that could have been cooler."
It's a thing of like, can you watch this on its own? And the answer is no. You have to have pre-knowledge, but you also have to have, I guess, post-knowledge of like what happens next. And I feel like we're in this stage where we don't know what's next in the story, and maybe what happens next makes WandaVision like 10 times better than we thought it was going to be. Maybe later on they're like, oh, see, this is what we have now, so this is why we had to set it up this way. And you're like, now that you see the whole picture, it's like, oh, that makes sense, that makes this so good. But we're not there yet, and we're in this point in time where we're just kind of like waiting for what's next. So I don't hate the show. I in fact adored it. I thought it was very good. Seeing Wanda actually get the Scarlet Witch costume, not the Halloween one, but like the actual
I really like that modernization. It's really nice. It's really good.
It was epic, man. And I very much enjoyed it. But yeah, I guess that's kind of my thoughts on it. I don't know.
Okay, so what would you say? So final episode rating, and then show rating. What would your
out of 10?
Out of 10, yeah.
Out of 10, I'd give the final episode I'd probably give it a 7, 6.5 out of 10. The show as a whole, I'd probably give it a 7 also. I feel like the last episode can kind of speak for the whole show. But yeah. I feel like a good 6.5 to 7.
Yeah. So I think I said it earlier, but the final episode is a 7 out of 10 for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's cinematically great. There are editing mistakes, but that's very obvious editing mistakes, like there was with Infinity War and Endgame. So a fucking Infinity War when Thor comes down and then Mark Ruffalo's in the Iron Man suit and he's like, "Oh, you're all screwed now," and it's like the fucking CGI is so bad there. Same with this. There's certain, story is a bit generic, but it's nice. It's emotional. It's touching, and so I was hoping for more. Not even just theories. I was just hoping for more, but we got dogged on, especially with the Quicksilver. Just felt a bit like shitty.
I feel like we need to dedicate a whole nother episode to the whole Quicksilver Ralph Boner.
I really wanted to like Monica Rambeau more, but they didn't.
Me too.
They kind of forgot the character was there until they remember. It's like, oh yeah, Monica Rambeau's there, and I'm like,
I wanted
kind of shoehorned her here. I really want a Monica Rambeau show myself, so
I wanted to love her,
more about this character.
But they portrayed her so much as just Captain Marvel II, and I was just like,
and
okay, I get it
there.
But like,
So that's why, yeah, it's
I
why
don't
it's a
know.
7 out of 10 for me, because they do Darcy wrong, they fob her
Yeah,
off.
where did she
They do
go?
Jimmy wrong, they fob him off. They do fucking Monica Rambeau wrong, they fob her off. They do Hayward wrong. So that's why this
That's what I'm
episode's kind
saying.
of a
The
7
whole
out of 10.
sword people, like everybody outside of the bubble, they just kind of were like, yeah, they're there. We'll
Yeah.
just throw them in because they relate to Captain
Yeah.
Marvel, Thor, and Ant-Man.
But as the show, I'd say an 8 out of 10. Could have been better. They did well, and they delivered what they said they were going to deliver on. More fool us for thinking theories would come. That's part of our problem.
That was also kind of Paul Bettany, and he kind of got everybody's hopes up there, which I understand is an honest mistake. But like, come on, man, you can't troll us like that.
So, good show, great show, love it.
Oh, yeah.
Could have been better. Theories were better. That's a problem, but whatever. Yeah, really, really, all in all, if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Please.
Definitely recommend it.
Do not take our like opinions or ratings. Go watch the show and what's his name? Carson Runquist always says, go watch the show and form your own opinion, because like don't let other people. That's one thing I see so many people do is like hop on YouTube and watch reviews, and they're like, oh, well, actually, I saw this review and this is my opinion. No, don't do that. Watch the show, form your own opinion. Don't let others have an opinion for you. Sorry, this has just gotten to like a psychological, metaphorical advice here thing. But yeah, it's a good show. Go watch it.
It's a great show. Yeah, it's for the most part, it's really well written. So yeah, I guess that ties it up.
That is.
Quick snippet at the end. Yeah, no, mistakes were made with Jimmy, mistakes were made with Monica, Darcy, and Hayward. Bad writing on Hayward. Darcy kind of just disappears. Monica isn't used enough, and Jimmy literally steals a fucking phone in front of 2 guards, and no one does anything about it. Like, he's right there.
And the most important complaint that I have is, hold up. The most important complaint really is, Ralph Boner? Are you kidding? So yeah, I think that's it for today.
We should probably we'll leave on the boner joke.
We'll leave it on the boner joke. Yeah, please go check out Ninethie Productions, guys. He's got some great stuff in store. You can go check out my channel as well, and links will be in the description and on the screen. Ninethie, you got anything to say for the people?
Marvel has a plan, and Kevin Feige we trust. Yeah.
Amen. Catch you later, guys.
See you later. My name's Markiplier.
No!
I don't wanna be a freak, I'm carnivorous, but I don't wanna feast. They coming for us, they all think I'm a beast. I seem enormous when you look at my teeth, but please believe me, I don't wanna be a freak. Yeah, just trying to keep my cool, make my way through school, don't need to ridicule, I know my place, I know my rules.